What is up, everybody? Ninja Nick here with Tactical Gaming, bringing you a great video. So, I will be reacting to Steven Crowder, reacting to a Cuban, reacting to Hasan Piker and his little communist, little, oh hey, I'm gonna go help the people kind of thing, right? Real Cuban destroys Hasan Piker's communist Cuba convoy. Check out Steven Crowder. He leaves links and descriptions and everything about everything that he finds. So links and everything to all his evidence and all that is always in his links and descriptions. So check out Steven Crowder and let's get into this because this is going to be funny.
Scarier when you see the similarities between the Cuban narrative and the Democrat narrative. It would be great
Facts.
if they admitted that their party is the one that the socialists found fit to infiltrate.
I get that they're not all
because it's easy.
I don't know how you so often line up with every single socialist oppressive regime whenever given the chance and then not be one. And that's the majority of those in the Democrat Party who have been active.
Facts.
This is why I think, too, Cuban American, and you're seeing this with Iranian, the diaspora of Iranians around the world, but you see it a lot with Cuban Americans. The reason they are, I believe, so appreciative of any type of a platform is because everyone, for example, agrees, like if you go to Darfur or if you say there's a genocide of, Rwanda, people are like, yeah, oh my gosh, that's terrible. But if you say the Cuban people are being starved, executed, tortured by their own government, there are throngs of white socialists going, no, shut up, oppressed, starved, tortured people. It's great. They're doing the bidding of the communist regime. And
Facts.
So Cuban expats, you see it with
like he's about to talk exactly like with the Iranian people, right? So everyone is sitting there ignoring and justifying what the Iranian government did to the protesters when they were protesting against their regime and being tired of being treated the way they were being treated, basically like, cattle. And it got to the point to where people on the left were sitting there denying the facts of the government were killing their people, okay? And literally you had Iranians saying, hey, look, this is what's going on, and people on the left like, no, like, really?
Too, these people are going,
and you see it with Cuba now.
I can't have a platform. All of us know what's going on. You guys are being lied to.
Yep. And the funny thing is, right, the whole lied to part, Twitch and YouTube both are very, very, very a big part of this to silencing people. They really are. And you can see it by certain buzzwords you can't use because they try to block and censor what people say, especially when it's the truth. But then you'll have people like Hasan sit there and call people Zionist and xenophobic and freaking racist, pedophile, just like straight out lying. He can say whatever he wants. Doesn't get blocked, doesn't get banned, still gets millions of views and all this other kind of stuff, right? But a small YouTuber like me or like Steven Crowder, not small, but someone like Steven Crowder or Tectone or Asmongold, you will get that, like, their stuff will get blocked, or you will get people trying to ban them or cancel them, all sorts of stuff.
What are recognized as totalitarian, cruel, oppressive, inhumane regimes.
Yep.
That context
Iranian government,
today,
Cuban government,
never met a little red
Russian government.
He didn't like audio or traditional. Hasan Piker is set to
Bam.
arrive in Cuba on a flotilla or plane, whichever comes first.
Plane.
By this time tomorrow, I will be live in Cuba. I will be doing a regular broadcast in Cuba as well. For those of you who are asking, I am joining the flotilla, the aid mission to Cuba. I'm going to Cuba to, one, bring awareness to the plight of the Cuban population as a direct consequence of American intervention on the island nation.
Really?
The last couple of decades. I'm going to be doing my
direct
coverage when I'm out there.
Okay.
How?
I have established a place where I'll hopefully be able to have internet access and energy.
Hey, Hasan, explain why Cubans literally risk their lives to get to Florida.
And see.
What I don't get is if America is so bad, right, for Mexico, Cubans, and like the world, right, like the whole world says America bad. then why are Mexicans and Cubans trying to flock here if it's so bad here? If our healthcare system's so bad, if our education system's so bad, if the people here are so racist, why are people trying to constantly keep coming here when you think they would not migrate here, not want to live here, right? Not only that, why is everyone's money, like the Looney Tooney, the peso, everything around the world, compared to the American dollar if we're so bad?
To see the Cuban folks.
Why they want our technology?
A beacon of hope and resilience. We are not going to be transmitting through the flight or the flotilla.
Flight.
Yeah, I saw that coming. First class. First class.
But I'm not going to be streaming that process either for safety concerns.
Safety concerns. You mean you don't want people seeing you fly first class to a communist fucking country?
It will be live when I get to Cuba.
Well, for safety concerns, I'm going to
Lies.
ask you guys too. How much you want to bet that it's not going to be broadcast because there is zero chance that aid goes directly to the Cuban people. It has to go through the government. And by the way, his arrival was met exactly as you'd expect.
Love it. Oh man. Is that Boozy Boy? Oh my god, I love it. Oh my god, love it.
And this is a perfect example of people going, hey, well then why don't you go? I'm one of very, very few people who has both legally been to Havana and Guantanamo Bay. I went to Havana to tape a commercial at that point from Canada on a Canadian passport, and I went to Guantanamo Bay to entertain the troops. I've seen both sides. I've been there. I do know what it's like, and I can also read statistics, and we all know that the communist regime is awful. This next guest, I want to show you a clip. I found
Funny, huh?
her video, and boy, you'll see a lot of people now just sort of become talking heads. Not only the passion, but when she got cooking, it's rare that I'm as impressed as I was by what I saw.
Thousands of Cubans are not allowed to enter their own country because they've been banned by the regime because they disagree with the communist oppression that we've had for 67 years. So
Cuban.
Me, la pila de descarados that are
You go,
trying
lady.
to spew their propaganda con sus patadas de ahogados. Libertad para Cuba.
Please welcome to the show, you know this lady as on TikTok, Spanglish Generation.
Okay.
Hello, Miss, I don't know how to do this because I know you have a screen name. Miss Generation, should I call you? Can you see me, hear me?
They are fine.
Okay, Day. All right, Day. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This is so exciting.
Well, don't get too excited because this will go sideways quite quickly.
Facts, right? The left is going to sit there and lie that this lady, is complete and total BS and all that other kind of shit. But this is going to be a Cuban talking about what it's like to be in Cuba, okay? Haven't watched this video at all.
Yeah, if you were watching, she's like, what? You're a micro penis. That's my lead-in.
Right.
Here's my first question. And by the way, where can people follow you and your content? I know TikTok, YouTube, where else?
YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Spanglish Generation is my handle. And, we're there talking stories every single day, doing a lot.
Well,
there you go.
And I want to give you the floor because I'm sure you have a lot to say. And as I understand it, a lot of Cuban Americans feel that they don't have a voice in the way that a lot of other pseudo-oppressed groups do. But I do have a couple of questions to set it up. I know it's wrong to generalize. I've never once met a Cuban American. I know they exist. Never once met a Cuban American who didn't check the boxes of anti-communist, hardworking, family-oriented.
Facts.
It's close to a stereotype that is almost universally perpetuated, anecdotally and statistically. So that's also why I've had a heart for these people for a long time. And my agent, Gabe William, is Cuban American as well. Let me ask you this, though. First question, because I really want to make sure I'm getting this right. What do you think the chances are that Hasan Piker will be delivering supplies straight to the Cuban people, bypassing the government? Or do you think it'll be going to the government for them to distribute?
Government.
Every single thing that arrives in Cuba goes through the government. The only reason they're going to Cuba and being allowed to do this whole charade is because it's already been filtered.
Sounds like FEMA when they took all those generators and supplies for that hurricane that happened on the East Coast.
Etc. All these brigades. And And so they've already been in contact with the regime. It's all been arranged. And anything
Exactly.
that they do is going to be broadcasted. They're going to have people come in from, wherever, and they're going to film these people getting
Left-leaning
supplies,
people.
etc. But I guarantee you that, the family that I have in Caney, Santiago, Havana, will see none of these supplies, and neither will so many other thousands of Cubans, like we say, Cubano de a pie, just everyday people will get to see none of this. This is just propaganda so the world can continue
Exactly.
to, be in la la land about the reality of Cuba.
And we hear people like them blame the United States for the state of Cuba. Now, we could discuss that, but policy-wise. But let me ask you: you have family in Cuba. You're obviously
Yes.
around a lot of Cuban Americans. Do they blame the United States? Do you or the regime?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
Why not?
They are very clear on the situation because they've been in Cuba for 6 decades, the older ones and the younger ones that were born under this, they see what's going on. And now with the, coming of the internet, thanks to Obama, one of the few things that we have to thank Obama for regarding Cuba is that, he kind of pushed for the internet to get to the island. And that was a double-edged sword because now people know what's going on. They have access to our content here in the U.S. And so they're not blind anymore. They realize that their oppression comes from the people within. The fact that they can't farm, the fact that they can't eat shrimp, the fact that they cannot enter the hotels that the tourists can enter, the fact that security takes them off the beaches when they're trying to access the beaches in their own island.
That's crazy.
They know that's not the United States, not Trump sending people to do that. It's the own Cuban regime, the government, that's preventing them from actually enjoying everyday life and being productive in Cuba.
Yeah. Obviously, that's what I figured because anecdotally, when I was in Guantanamo Bay, do you know what the biggest threat was? A lot of people don't know this. They had to set up a perimeter and in many cases, non-lethal type landmine type devices, capture devices, to prevent Cuban citizens from getting into the prison because they thought that it was American soil. If they got in, they could flee. That was a huge security threat to Guantanamo. Really?
Yeah. My dad used to practice swimming when he was in early 20s. He used to be an avid swimmer. And he used to practice swimming every single day because his dream was to swim to Guantanamo because, so many people did that trying to get to U.S. soil.
Wow.
See, that's crazy.
Wow. That'd be like someone here trying to swim to Alcatraz. I'm free!
Yep.
Wow.
Choppy waters with sharks.
God bless your dad. I saw to the raft graveyard there in Guantanamo Bay, all the flotation devices, that anything they could put together.
Yep, they're makeshift boats.
Time in Havana, we taped this Rising Crust Pizza commercial. I was 16 years old, and I had to go on a Canadian passport. And I remember being so mad because the Canadians were like, "It's beautiful," and I was like, "Did you see the 13-year-old prostitute because she was trying to feed her family? Did you see the people with one shoe?" I'm like, I get the beaches are nice, but
yep.
Do you guys realize what you're supporting? And Canadians are the worst. Your thoughts?
I would agree.
You know what? It's ironic because people are like, well, they're mad about their vacations being ruined. They're cheap vacations at that because there are many beautiful beaches elsewhere that are cleaner, that have better access to a lot of things. Cuba has amazing beaches, yes, but the structure there is not it. Naturally, it's a beautiful island, but it's lacking when it comes to infrastructure. So
go figure, communist ruined shit.
Cuba is now not accessible in terms of, them being able to go there and spend much less than if they were to go to Cancun, Isla Mujeres, maybe Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, or elsewhere in the world. But when people go and they're like, it's so enchanting and it's so vintage, I'm like, it's not vintage. It's stuck in time.
Because it can't freaking expand.
Driving cars from 1950s.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is not because we're vintage. It's not because, we want to be like avant-garde. It's because we're stuck in time.
And they couldn't afford newer cars.
They have access to so many resources. And my question to them is always, why do the people that are in charge have access to all of these things?
Mm-hmm.
When they say, the hospitals have no electricity, well, how come there's electricity for the Ascanel and his, family? How come the hotels have electricity? How come they have fuel?
Yep.
When we call an ambulance, and this was in the 1980s, people think this is an issue now. I was born in 1980 in Santiago de Cuba. And when my mom was going to give birth, They called an ambulance, and the ambulance didn't have any fuel.
Damn.
There wasn't any fuel, so they had to wait for hours for
Jeez.
a bus to take her to the hospital because the ambulance had no fuel. This was in 1980. So the fact that people are complaining now because, we have no fuel because of the blockade, we've been having this issue.
Yeah, the only people who were getting fuel was the communist regime.
When a dissident decides to, protest and speak up, it turns out that every single patrol car has fuel to come to this house, to their houses and oppress them and disappear them and, why?
Right.
So people can't put two and two together. It's just common sense. You don't have to be a historian. You don't have to be knowledgeable in politics and global. You don't. It's
Right.
simple. The Cuban regime has access to these things. When you go
Always
on
have.
vacation, if you really open your eyes, you are going to see the 16-year-old candidate, as we call them, prostitutes, and still a thing.
Gross.
Little girls, young women in Cuba are waiting. They're, just targeting extranjeros, foreigners, so they can leave Cuba. That's their only goal. Their goal is not to build a future, to be somebody, to go to school, to start a business. Their goal
That's
is,
sad.
who can I target that will take me out of this hellhole? And that's no way to live. That's not a future for any country.
Yeah.
Nope.
No, it's really sad.
Which makes sense, because when you think about it, right, you look at California, right? Gavin Newsom legalized prostitution. He's legalized drug use. No one on the streets who are prostituting in front of schools are being arrested. And also, he also did a whole new law where if you're a pedophile, like a legitimate, actual pedophile, tried, put in jail, if you've been in prison for 10 years, they let you out. They let out a serial pedophile not too long ago in that state who literally kidnapped children and did horrific things to them. Let him out. Let a monster out onto the public. It's fucking insane. But yet, you have people on the left who are going to sit there and call the president a pedophile protector, and all this other kind of shit, but yet not see the ass backwards crap that lefties are doing. Democrats and everything. Look at Virginia. The governor there literally legalized it to the point to where women are going to get beat and assaulted by their spouses. You can't own guns there. They're trying to take your guns away. They're trying to do anything and everything to make it as dangerous as possible, just so that you can vote in other policies. They take away your freedoms and create stupid laws to take away your freedoms. That is how communists work. Socialists.
They're going to have some more fuel and medical supplies for those patrols, courtesy of Hasan Piker.
Yep.
Right? Because he knows what's up. What would you say to, and how big of a problem is it for Cuban American and people in Cuba, by the way, seeing these influencers out there selling this? I've got
Horrible.
to imagine that it
Horrible.
is soul crushing.
I'd be pissed
to see these Westerners going, no, Cuba is great. I mean, everyone from Bernie Sanders, Rage Against
Fuck
the
Bernie.
Machine.
They used to be cool, not anymore.
We were banned from YouTube because we had maybe we could bring it up if she could see. We had a shirt, Socialism is for Figs, and it's Che Guevara, but we changed the fist to a limp wrist. And
Nice.
They said, that's hate speech, you can't. And I said, he's a genocidal maniac. He's Hitler without the charm. And what I mean is he was a personal sadist and would have been as evil as Hitler if he could have gotten away with it.
Facts.
Most multivitamins
Here's
are
his ad.
proprietary blends of stuff you don't need. It's not even what's on the label. That's why we created Foundation Daily. Clinically effective ingredients at their clinically effective doses. Vitamins A through zinc, plus curcumin, turmeric, and garlic help you with some aches and pains. Everything you need, nothing you don't. Plus, you get a certificate of analysis on every batch sold, so what's on the label is exactly what you're getting. Go to foundationdaily.com to start your subscription today. Foundation. It's a knockout.
Gotta give it to him. He's funny.
And this is on a t-shirt. Yeah, this shirt right there. We can send you guys some. It's still our #1 selling shirt.
Hell yeah.
I created it when I was 14 years old. How awful is it for someone like you in Cuban, or the diaspora, Cuban Americans, all of them, to see that out there? Is it like a nightmare, like where you're screaming and nothing comes out? Is that what it feels like?
Yeah, it's total frustration. The disrespect toward people that they cannot relate to, because I mean, they love socialism, but they're not trying to live in Cuba.
Yeah.
That's the part I never understood. If you want to live in the revolution, go to Cuba, but not as a tourist. Like the tourists go there. There's a lot of European tourists that go live in
Yeah,
Cuba.
they have tourist
And that's the
sections.
latest trend, in Havana. And then when you confront them, they're like, because, Cuba gives opportunity to different realities. Now, there's one reality in Cuba: misery, communism, and misery. And so when we see these people go there, it's frustrating because we're seeing 67 years of the same thing. 67 years of the regime being connected with people like Bernie Sanders. And,
Yep.
Of course, they'll say we're not pro-dictatorial or totalitarian regimes. Yeah, but your party has completely sided with the people that support the socialism in Cuba.
Yep.
Lauren Bass from California.
Yep.
She is a part of the Venceremos Brigade. She supports going to Cuba to learn about socialism. If you're a politician in the U.S. and you're going to Cuba to learn about how to do things, we're in trouble. Like, this is we're in trouble. And so when we see these people out there parading Cuba as if it was aspirational, it just makes it like, it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just a dark feeling because my parents went through so much to get to the United States. My dad used to dream. My dad actually was going to come during the Peter Pan era. His dad was a fierce anti-communist. When the communism got to Cuba, my grandfather, no, I'm sidetracking, I talk a lot.
No, it's fine, please. I spent a lot of time with Cuban Americans. I know you guys chat.
Yeah, we can talk.
Yeah.
And so my grandma opposed because she's like, he's too little. I'm not going to send him alone to a different country. They were supposed to go through Mexico and then eventually get to the United States. My dad got to leave Cuba after a long time in 1989. And the journey from when he was a kid to almost 40s to leave Cuba is so gut-wrenching. As a pastor in Cuba, being oppressed, being silenced, having state security sitting in the pews, listening to every single message that he said, every single on Sabbath.
And people talk about Trump and his controlling nature.
I know what it feels like to have surveillance 24/7 because they're afraid
Silencing the people.
Say something that may mislead people in their opinion. So my parents went through so much. In 1980, we were supposed to come in the Mariel boat lift. My aunt spent $10,000 on a boat.
Damn.
My dad,
that's a lot of money for them.
He left. The pastoral house was going to be given to the people from, the CDR, which is the CDR, the Committee of Revolutionary, the people that surveil you and whatever. And my dad said no. So he let that opportunity go. My mom was pregnant with me. I would have been born here with, Orange Bowl back in the day. And he said no. He was not going to allow the pastoral home and the church to be given to those people. And that boat was instead given to the prisoners and people that were released from Masora, the mental hospital and
Right.
mental institutions. And
Damn.
so my dad suffered repudiation acts. My mom was pregnant as well. I suffered repudiation acts because, during the 1980s boat lift. And all the repression, my husband came on a raft. Okay, this is my family is plagued with just people that have been through so much.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see these people go to Cuba and talk about how wonderful and poor people, because the U.S. is oppressing them, knowing
Yeah.
the truth,
Say the U.S. is
knowing
oppressing
that
the Cubans.
No person gets on a raft and spends days at sea trying to get to freedom, knowing very well that they can die, and just living with
Yeah.
that reality.
They're going to the country that's oppressing them.
What's going on over there is really, really dark. And the fact that these people are trying to whitewash it and just, butter it up and call it vintage and call people resilient. Yeah, we're resilient, but not because we've been fighting against the U.S. It's because we've been oppressed by a regime that, sold social justice. And it's even scarier when you see the similarities between the Cuban narrative and the Democrat narrative.
Exactly.
And I have to say, and I don't believe that every Democrat socialist or a communist. Absolutely not. But it would be great if they admitted that their party is the one that the socialists found fit to infiltrate.
Yep, because it's easy.
Justice BS.
Yeah. I even slightly disagree with you. I think they all are. Not all of them, but I think the party is. And what I mean by that,
The party, yeah.
yeah. Let's use Bernie Sanders. Before I do that,
Yeah.
I think this is
Bernie Sanders, who complains about other people's money, but yet the dude's a millionaire, doesn't give anything away in charities, doesn't help anybody out in any way, shape, or form, but he likes to complain about how America is destroying jobs and all this other kind of stuff. But yet the dude doesn't do anything to help build jobs. Has money to do so, doesn't.
tell me if I have this right. My understanding in talking with as many Cuban people as I can is that the United States is not to blame, and that people in Cuba have been suffering and starving for forever. So this blockade, whatever you want to call it, doesn't affect them. It affects the government, and anyone bringing in aid is actually enabling the continued oppression. That seems to be the general opinion. We don't have this stuff anyway. Might as well make it so those in the government don't get it. Is that about right?
That's about right, yes.
Yeah. I know it's more complicated than that, but going back to, let's use Bernie Sanders as an example. I know he's an actual socialist, but you could find, if you use Jane Fonda. Okay, Jane Fonda sided with Fidel Castro,
Yep.
the Viet Cong,
Yep.
and Chavez.
Yep.
Bernie Sanders honeymooned in the USSR, said bread lines in Venezuela were a good thing, and supported Fidel Castro.
Yep.
Bob Dylan's broad, Susan Rotolo, back then, who was a social activist, said, there's no violence. The regime won't. As long as you don't protest, it's fine. They were propaganda mouthpieces.
Yep.
I get that they're not all
Shoot, one of the
socialists.
California reps was paid by
I don't know how
fucking
you
Russia.
so often line up with every single socialist oppressive regime whenever given the chance, and then not be one. And that's the majority of those in the Democrat Party who have been active. It's almost like a compulsion.
Well, Democrat Party also is the party of slavery.
The Cuban regime is absolutely evil.
It's what that's what communism is.
Other evil regimes in history have. But let me ask you, what do you hope for, and what do you think most Cuban Americans hope for, as far as, like, how does this end? How would you like to see this turn out for Cuba?
Well, absolutely, I would like for Cuba to be freed from the 67-year nightmare. And what I want people to understand is that the U.S., although I am convinced, and there is evidence, that Cuba is a national threat to the U.S. Cuba is complicit with the terrorists of the world.
There you go.
And they're 90 miles away from the Keys.
Uh-huh.
So, yes, they are a national security threat. But I want people to know that the U.S. really has no obligation to free Cuba. The only reason why we, as Americans as well, who are America First, are supporting this initiative is because we understand firsthand that people that have been disarmed and for 67 years oppressed, starved, this whole electric grid situation, that's also a strategy. It's not that they don't have resources
to break their will.
to fix these things. They don't care. And as long as they keep people in survival mode, it keeps them busy trying to, trying to see what they can do for the day to day, trying to see if the lights come on so they could, charge their phones or cook for their children within that 2-hour span. That's an oppressive mechanism. It's not only that they don't have the resources to have electricity, it's also a tactic. People need to understand that. So, although the U.S. has no obligation, we are very grateful that the U.S. is finally paying attention to the situation, because the Cuban people have so much to offer. Cuba's so grateful. Cubans are so grateful for everything that
Cuba
the
would be
US
a
has
great ally.
provided. And I know that with the learning that we've had of 6 decades stuck in communism, I think we would flourish as a nation in Cuba.
Yep.
To me, the U.S. is already.
So would the Iranian people.
But I would love, for the sake of my parents, for the sake of everyone that died at sea trying to cross, for the sake of all the political prisoners still in prison today, and those who have passed, I hope that Cuba is free, and I hope that we could see the Cubans prove to the world that what was keeping them down was the socialist regime, was the communist regime, which is one and the same. People want to, separate socialism and communism.
They're the same thing.
One and the same. And so, with that, it's a dream, but I really do hope that it becomes a reality.
Hold on to that dream. Never give up.
And I want to say this. Cuba has to do their part. And I know a lot of Cubans don't like it when I say this. Because Cubans on the island, it's time for them to rise up. And they're starting. I know it's scary. But we're doing our best to try to encourage them. I do have family there. And people are, how could you say that? If they're going to go to prison or they could be in prison, well, I morally cannot ask U.S. to put their kids, their soldiers, their guys at stake if I'm not asking the people in Cuba, my birthplace, to risk and sacrifice as well. Freedom is not free.
There you go.
And we cannot
Exactly,
just
it's not.
thinking that the U.S. is just going to come and free us. Although we would love the help because we need it, Cuba does need to understand that inside the island there needs to be an uprising. And there needs to be an uprising for the sake of freedom, but for the sake of the world understanding that the regime has not completely manipulated the people's minds. Right now, these flotillas flying over their situation are being successful because there's not like a huge amount of people just massively protesting in the streets, proving this wrong. If Cuba rises and shows the world, no, we do not agree with the regime. No, we do not agree with these, bobos coming here to talk the nonsense they're talking and try to twist the narrative. If that were to
Talk about
happen,
Hasan.
I think it would make the biggest difference. So I think that the U.S. is doing a wonderful job and we appreciate it. But my wish is that the people overcome fear and finally show the world that they've had enough.
Yeah. Wow. I don't think I've ever heard a case better articulated than that. And what I mean is a lot of people going, hey, no, we actually love the U.S. Can you help us? And you taking inventory and accountability saying, yeah, but Cuba has to do their part.
That's accountability.
That's the way that it needs to be done. And I will add something else too, if I can help spur that at all. Because here's the thing. I'll get people too going, why do you care about other countries outside the United States? I'm like, well, no. I can also acknowledge Cuba. And of course, I'm America first. But people get mad at military action. Okay, there's no military action. There's no money that we need to spend right now. Right now, we're just not allowing the communist regime to get the shit that they need.
Exactly.
And that may be all that it takes for this to change over, because if there are Cubans out there watching right now, here's something important to note. Russia is hamstrung right now because they have to deal with Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
China has other problems thanks to what happened in Venezuela and what's
Oh,
going
yeah.
on with the Strait of Hormuz. They are very unstable right now. These are the primary trading partners of Cuba.
Yep.
And so
At least the Cuban government.
without significant military action, let me tell you why. Because the regime, they're cowards. And I'll prove to you that they're all a bunch of bitches. Che Guevara, the revolutionary motorcycle fucking diary. Sorry, I had to watch it in high school. Everyone out there, hey Cubans, if you're wondering if you can rise up and take these people, he was found in Bolivia with a fully loaded fucking rifle that was never fired, crying, saying, I'm worth more to you alive than dead. Some revolutionary, that's your competition, Cubans. Please remember that. And they're not going to be holding up the way that you think they are. Can we please, I'd like for you to take some chat, because I know the audience has tons of questions for you. I know you're busy. It'll be more just fun chit chat, but tell people one last time where they can find you.
Spanglish Generation, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. So we're there every single day, talking in stories, posting about everything that happens, Cuba, socially and politically, all over stuff.
Absolutely. And by the way, to all those, we're about to go to Rumble Premium, the chat, she is happily married, as she let Lane know, because I guarantee you that plenty of people are rich. So don't do that in chat. All right, stay with us. Time to go. Let's go to Premium.
That's right. Love it.
All right, we are back. And you see Mrs. Day, I don't always do tough with screen names, but
It's hilarious. His day's fine.
Okay, a couple of things. First off, thank you for dressing up. We all look like asses. Cuban women dress up to clean the house. True or false?
Oh, we dress up. I don't know to clean the house, but yeah, we tend to want to, yeah.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. My lady, she's part Cuban. She's Brazilian, but was adopted by a Cuban woman in Florida. And her 94-year-old grandmother took her stress test on a treadmill in heels because she said she never wore sneakers and she wasn't about to start now.
What's the need?
This is just, you always eat fruit with dinner, or usually in a way that's bizarre to us Americans, like steak, meat, banana. True or false?
Banana.
Not really. I used to
Yes,
eat
true.
fruit with dinner when I was
Oh
young.
my gosh, when I saw the Somalians come out and say that Somalians is not just about eating bananas with rice, I was like, hold on a minute. No, we've been doing bananas with rice, soup, eggs, and that's our thing. Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing.
I know it's a big thing. Here's my question to you too. What's crazy to me is Cuba. Like you said, most of the people are starving. Most of the people, they don't have access to good supplies. And then I'm like, holy shit! Per capita, the boxers and the wrestlers who come out of Cuba at the Olympics. I'm like, how are you doing this? Like, I don't know if you remember Yoel Romero. He was like 55 in the UFC. Like, hey, I would cheer all of you here fighting in the USA. He's the scariest man alive.
It's anger. It's the fire.
Yeah. Do you remember the controversy where he got admonished in the UFC because they thought he made a political statement, but it was his heavy Cuban accent? Did you ever see that?
What? Oh, I love him.
He said, hey, what happened to you, USA? You know the name of Jesus, but no forget Jesus. And people are like, did he just say gay Jesus? He's like, no, hey, I say no forget Jesus.
Forget.
Yeah, forget.
Language barrier.
Yeah, but that dude, no one knows his age. Did you know he doesn't have a birth certificate? People are like, he might be like 60. Who knows?
I know. Well, it was good. Yeah.
Yeah. What is the athletics program like? Because you guys have a very high percentage considering how small it is and how poor it is.
Well, I'll tell you this. The thing with the athletics is with anything, communism used the athletics to
Yep.
propagandize, the regime.
I was about to say, the government pays those dudes, gives them money, gives them food, gives them housing, gets them their training.
The sports, the Olympians, the boxers, it's just been utilized. They paid a lot of attention in building up the people that they knew could display
Yep.
Cuba that they wanted the world to see. So that's kind of a lot of attention was paid to the sports, but it's miserable. I mean, honestly, when you get an Olympian to go back to Cuba, you see I'm in constant, looking at what they post and everything over there. The national, we have parades here. We have a whole bunch of stuff, and in Cuba they give them like an extra combo with like cooking oil, and
Right.
It's really just.
I mean.
No wonder they stay. Where do they go? To Mexico, to anywhere in Latin America or in the U.S. They stay. That's why we have so many Cuban, MLB players.
I know, and that's crazy because they stay in Mexico, and Mexico's a horrible place. But I will say that it's funny. The irony to me is, the revolution for the Cuban people. The thing that I see most consistent is like all the beauty and resources of Cuba exclusively off limits for the Cuban people. You are more likely to get a fake Cuban cigar in Cuba than anywhere else you can purchase a Cuban cigar because it goes straight to the guy. I can't say a name, but a notable tobacco farmer in Cuba, he gets to keep about 5% of his crops.
Damn.
The rest goes to the government. And
95%. That's crazy.
To get a knockoff Dominican in Cuba. Like you said, you can't go to the beaches. The one they said was most beautiful was Varadero. Varadero was. That was what the Canadians all recommended, but they're all a bunch of commies.
There you go.
You notice that, Cubans aren't allowed to use it depending on when so it's all a veneer, Serrano hams for the Castros, private jets going out to get them, but Cubans, it's a huge treat to get pork maybe once a couple of weeks.
They could get pork. I know Cubans don't know what red meat is. It was illegal to, so there are people serving sentences for killing a cow.
Oh my God.
Their own cow. Their own. But,
Yeah, exactly.
Also, they have people, shrimp, for example. They export shrimp, but Cubans are not allowed to eat it. It's reserved for tourism and export.
My
And
God.
That's surrounded by water. Cubans cannot eat shrimp.
Right. They say, hey, I Cuba, find the people, but no shrimp. And you can't have this shrimp.
Exactly.
That's for them, for you. For you, it's just one thing. Yeah, exactly. Just like your doctors go to Brazil now. My lady, her doctor mom was a doctor. She said that a lot of people would have to bring in their own medical equipment, bring in their own supplies, and about a month's salary gets you a bar of soap.
Yeah, and
Crazy.
Salary, they got a salary, but who got the biggest chunk? The dictatorship got the biggest chunk for sending them, and they were, from what I understand, because I also have doctors that have been on missions to Venezuela and such. They had to turn in their passports and all their documents, so it was like
they were stuck.
Slave labor.
They were stuck.
I glitched.
They marooned them.
About these things because it was literally slave labor.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. Oh, you're still here and you're still watching.
Well, there you all go. So when Hasan does his little video, it's going to be really great because he's probably going to lie about what he's going to do. He's going to be like, oh yeah, I arrived on a flotilla when he actually flew there. But Steven Crowder, go check him out. Go check out that air lady out. I can't wait until tomorrow or maybe later today when Hasan puts that video up. If he does. Pretty sure he will, but check him out. That was interesting. Later, guys.